I want to put out a couple different theories, and this one in football specifically. And I think I've talked about this before, and I talked this with Dak, but unfortunately didn't work with Dak, and I think you're now starting to see the results of it. I am waiting for, I tweeted this out yesterday, I'm waiting for the first team that really tries to commit to the system quarterback. In the NFL, it's just natural now that you got to have a great quarterback to win. Talked about this a little bit in the opening segment, and you have to have, like, it's almost like have the great quarterback or you're just not even in contention for your division. To the point where some guys very famously go on TV, go on the radio and say, you know what, look, you could almost pick each division winner if you just look at who has the best quarterback. You got the best quarterback in your division, you win the division. And I think there's obviously a lot of truth to that. It's been proven to be correct over the course of NFL history. But I also believe, and I could be wrong, always room to be wrong, but I believe that somebody one day will eventually develop the idea and have the courage to go, let's do the system quarterback, which is pay everybody else on your roster. Like everybody else on your roster. Quarterback's not good. Can't pay your quarterback. And the reason why this could work is because the average salary for every other player is so drastically different than quarterback, you could fill out a theoretical super team. Now, we've seen this in spurts. We call it the rookie contract, right? We've seen Russ on a rookie contract, how good that Seattle roster was. Then Russ got paid, have to break down the roster. You get to 2 Super Bowls in 4 years, and then suddenly no more Super Bowls. We've seen currently with, we saw also similar to, salaries weren't as crazy then, but you can make an argument like Big Ben and the Steelers. He got to a couple Super Bowls early in his career, and then he started making the new salary cap quarterback money. Roster got worse. The Browns right now are going to go through this, where the Browns really started to build up an impressive roster, and now they're paying the nasty man a whole bunch of money, and it's, it's going to start slowly breaking down that roster. Now, this obviously isn't going to work, this theory, with teams that have already committed to the big money. I said this about Dak a few years ago, that if Dak was willing to take a Tom Brady-esque approach and take less, then you could still keep a lot of these high-end players, and you wouldn't be worried about losing guys, having to let go of a Tyron Smith, even though he ended up getting injured post my first time making this take. You wouldn't have to worry about losing a CeeDee Lamb. You wouldn't have to worry about losing a Micah Parsons. Like, you could keep all these guys if we wanted to just take less, right? But now I want to take it one step further. What if a team was willing to just outright not pay the quarterback? You pay the base salary on your rookie contract, and you basically look them in the face at year 5 and go, look, you can either play for the league minimum for that position, which for a quarterback, it's kind of hard to even say what that number would be because, like, let's say it's $10 million, right? You either take a $10 million a year contract, which is significantly less than all the other top quarterbacks, and we build out the roster, or you start making $30, $40 million a year, and we never win again. Unless you are specifically Lamar, Allen, Mahomes. But the reality is there's not that many of those guys in the league. Burrow as well. So for this theory to be truly practiced, I think there's 2 teams. I think everybody kind of knows this. One in the NFC, one in the AFC. Now, potentially as rosters unfold and more guys start to, develop, break out, this could potentially change. But right now I think there's 2 teams. The 49ers and the Dolphins. What if, and this kind of got inspired because Tyreek Hill was asking for a contract extension. Well, he basically, not an extension, sorry. He basically said, look, I'm happy Waddle got paid, I'm happy Jefferson got paid, and now I'm looking forward to getting paid again. And he's already received one big contract, obviously. What if the Dolphins just don't pay Tua? And I'm not even talking about, like, don't pay him, like, franchise tag him, something similar to Kirk Cousins. I'm saying, no, they just outright tell Tua, look, you either play for $8 to $10 million or you go on. Because we believe with Hill, Waddle, Mike McDaniels as the head coach, Mostert, I'm sorry, we believe this offense is so good, it is plug and play, that we could put anyone in this position. Now, we've never done this with quarterback. We've done this with running back. Mike Shanahan famously put anybody running back, and they got 100 yards, 1,000-yard seasons. We've seen it with pass rushers, where some of these great defensive schemes have gotten guys go there, they have a great breakout season, go somewhere else, not as productive. We've seen it with almost every other position in the sport except quarterback. The other team I think is pretty obvious. It's the 49ers. What if they just never pay Brock Purdy? And they say, look, you did it. I think I would rather, if the 49ers said, I would rather keep for the next 5 years, I'd rather keep Tuafunga, Warner, Bosa, Trent Williams. Trent's a little older, so he's probably going to end up retiring anyway. But like Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, I'd rather keep this super stacked roster that could compete for Super Bowls with as you were, Brock Purdy, a last pick in the draft quarterback. And I'd rather keep this super crazy stacked roster than pay you. And what if we just, what if they just tried it? Now, again, this is a theory. No one's going to do it. I understand. But man, what if? And the Niners and Dolphins are genuinely that talented, because no one thinks between eye test, stats, whatever metric or measurement you want to use, no one is coming out the gate and being like, oh yeah, Tua Tagovailoa is a top 10-ish quarterback or a top 5-ish quarterback. No one believes that. No one believes that about Brock Purdy. We understand that they are NFL starting quarterbacks, which means by default they are one of the 32 best in the world at this. And realistically, because they've had production, they've had good seasons, they're both realistically in the top half of the league, because so much of the bottom 5 to 10 guys are guys on their way out or rookies. So if they're in the top 16, they're one of the 20 best in the world at what they do. So we'll pay you what's actually appropriate, which is about $8 to $10 million, which is what some backups make, or some guys on a lot. It's a backup, right? We're not going to pay you the big money because we just know you're not, respectfully, you're not worth $40, $50 million a year, because that takes away potentially a guard and a defensive tackle. That takes away a safety and a second receiver. So what if we just pay it everybody else and we don't pay you? Do we not think the Niners would continue to be great with their players? And obviously, you still have to draft, develop, because you have to replace this theoretical super team you're building. Fred Warner is going to be on the wrong side of 30. Bosa will get older. Williams is already older. Deebo Samuel's getting older. So it's like you will eventually still have to scout and draft to replace this team. But the amount of flexibility you would have by not paying a quarterback 40, 50, what's going to start being $60 million? The Lions right now, this is the best the Lions have been maybe in their franchise's history. Goff is now making a lot of money. What happens in 2 years, 3 years? Do you get to re-sign Penei Sewell? Do you get to keep Aiden Hutchinson? Are you going to have to start, you don't have 2 great receivers, now you only got 1 receiver. You don't have a receiver and a tight end, now you maybe just have a tight end and a 2 receiver that's playing as your 1. Maybe instead of 4 really good defensive linemen, you've only got 2. Instead of 5 good offensive linemen, you've only got 2. But the amount of money and amount of the salary cap that the quarterback position takes up. What if someone just said, you know what? We're going to try it. We're not re-signing quarterbacks. Now, and for the people that think, oh, well, no quarterback would sign up for this, it would turn into, guys refusing to play for him. Fine. I believe that would happen to a degree. But I also think the same way that guys could go have great seasons for Mike Shanahan and still go get paid somewhere else, maybe not top end, best, highest paid in the league, but go get a second contract, a third contract, because they basically had this rehab-like stint. Guy, you don't think a guy would offer to go play on the 49ers? Think about it. You don't think that Sam Darnold went to the 49ers, this is a real example, because he realized if I get in the game, I just look better with Ayuk, Deebo, Trent Williams, that defense keeping the score low. It's not like how he played with the Jets, where he had no O-line, defense wasn't that good, receivers weren't that great, and he looked Terrible, for lack of a better word. He would look better on the Niners than he ever did with the Jets. And you don't think quarterbacks, especially journeyman quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, would sign up for that for a year? I do. I think a guy would be willing to sit there and go, like, I could throw for 4,500 yards with this stacked roster, get to the playoffs, have some results, and I could go get a 2 for $20 million contract somewhere else, or 2 for 30. Look at quarterback money now. Go get a 2 for $40 million deal. Just my theory. Like I said, does it happen? Probably not. But it's a fun theory.